Hello, and welcome back to Smut and Stockinette. Today, we need to talk about October. Can we also talk about the fact that this ponytail looks like my hair is like two different lengths? So weird. Anyway, so today we are going to talk really quickly about my October reading stats, what I read in October, what I didn't finish in October, and everything in between. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because I would love to have you here as a member of the channel. We are almost at 100 subscribers, which is so crazy. But let's go ahead and jump into October. In the month of October, I read 4,274 pages, and that was over 68 hours of reading, and totaled to 19 books completed. As far as where I got those books from, I had 4 books from the library, 3 books that I owned on my Kindle, 12 books I read on Kindle Unlimited, and of those 19, I actually had 5 DNFs in October. It was pretty wild, but let's go ahead and first talk about my 3-star read. Just kidding. I have a 1 2-star, which is really weird because I almost never rate anything a 2-star. But my 2-star read for October was Centaur's Touch. This was one of the bedtime stories between me and my friend Sabrina. It was like 20 pages. It was like super short and just super weird. So I did finish it though, but I only gave it 2 stars. Usually if I finish it, usually I give it 3 stars. But this one, I was like, 2's plenty. My first 3-star read, I had Crave, and this is kind of like a YA Twilight vibe. We're following our main character. I never remember names, so I'm so sorry. We're following our main character, and her parents die, and so she goes to live with her uncle and cousin in like Alaska, and her uncle is he like is the principal of this like school, like a private school. She doesn't realize it, but it is a like not a magic school, but it's a school for kids with like abilities, right? And of course she meets a vampire like you do when you go to Alaska, apparently. And it's the beginning of this series. I gave it 3 stars. It was pretty good. I'm not big into YA, honestly. I think that this book had come recommended to me, or I'd seen it somewhere, and so I wanted to give it a try. I don't know that I'll continue the series, but it was 3 stars. And my next 3-star read for October was Guarded by Death by H.L. Swan. I read this one for my self-destructing scoop episode. I will link it here if you haven't checked that out yet. But we are following our main character, and she is like almost getting assaulted kind of like at a nightclub, and this guy like saves her. We'll come to find out he is like an angel of death or some situation like that, and it's kind of like their romance. I just felt like it was missing some chemistry between the 2 characters. It read a little bit YA, which is again fine, but it doesn't give me the like depth of character that I want usually in YA, or like that YA vibe. So I gave this one 3 stars. In October, I also read Mayhem Carnival. Also, oh no, I think it's the same author, but I think she has a pen name for Mayhem Carnival, which is Scarlet Swan, which I also gave 3 stars. This one, you're following 2 friends who go to this like secret carnival thing, and it's just smut fest. Like everybody's just boning and whatever. So it's basically erotica, so if that's your vibe. I mean, for what it was good. The smut was good. Definitely good October vibes. You've got some masked men going on, but it is just straight up smut. So, which again, nothing wrong with that, but I gave it 3 stars. I just didn't have, you know, the flutters and things when you have like a 4 or 5-star read. So that was Mayhem Carnival. My next 3-star read for October was kind of a shock for me, and it was Don't Let Me Go. Sorry, I had to double check. Don't Let Me Go by Kelsey Ray. I read the first book in this series. Don't Let Me Down, maybe? I don't remember. They all have like Don't Let Me something, and I think it was Don't Let Me Down, and I absolutely loved it. Book 2 I just felt like it was a little bit too long. And because of that, I just felt like the tension was not as good as I had wanted it to be. Not as good as book 1, I think. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I just think it could have been a little bit shorter in this one. Did I read that for Self-Destructing Scoop? I don't think so. Maybe I did. I don't know. Anyway, you are following our main character, and her brother is on the hockey team, and she goes to the college where her brother plays hockey, and basically his entire team finds out that she is a virgin, and they like make a bet on who can take her virginity, and her brother's best friend is kind of like trying to protect her because he secretly like has a thing for her. They hook up, etc., etc. It was fine. Not my favorite of the series, not my favorite Kelsey Ray book, but it was good enough. The next book that I read and gave 3 stars for in October was Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton. I was hoping to read the Cat and Mouse duet in October for the vibes, but I just did not get there. But I did read Satan's Affair, which is like the prequel, and you're following Sibby in this one, and her like 4, I think there was 4 of them, her like 4 henchmen, I guess, and she kills people in a haunted house. Yeah, so that was that. I'm not gonna divulge too much info. If you haven't heard of Satan's Affair or the Cat and Mouse duet and you're into dark romance, then definitely check it out. But I did give it 3 stars, mostly because I loved the like plot line of it, but it was just a little much for me. I haven't read dark romance in a while, and I think it was a little much, but nevertheless. And my last 3-star was If I Stay. I read this one for the Bookly Readathon that I did in October, and what was a book about the afterlife, I believe was the prompt, and so I chose If I Stay. I'd never watched the movie, but I have seen like the movie advertised, and so I gave it a try. Again, it's kind of YA, and it's not kind of YA, it is YA. So I just didn't feel like the depth of character was as on par with what I usually prefer. It was good though. I don't know that I'll read the sequel. I don't necessarily know that I need more from it. But that was the conclusion of my 3-star reads. So let's go ahead and talk about the 4 stars. Right, in our 4 stars, I have book 1 and 2 in the Mindfuck series. I have The Risk and Sidetracked. I really wanted to read the whole series in October. Unfortunately, I only got through the first 2 books, but I'm having a great time with it. I'm really enjoying it. I think that it's going to start amping up a little bit more, and so I can definitely see the rest of the series being rated a little higher. But for now, book 1 and 2 have a 4-star. If you haven't heard of the Mindfuck series, which is very shocking if you haven't, you are following our main character, who again, I don't know her name, but she is a kind of like a vigilante serial killer. Something happened to her when she was a teenager, and she is getting revenge on everyone who was involved by killing them. And she meets this guy at a coffee shop and finds out that he is an FBI investigator, and they start a romance. And so she is a serial killer and he is trying to catch a serial killer. The drama is just so good. It's so good. And so I read the first 2 books. All the books are like under 200 pages. So it's definitely like, it's like a series of novellas kind of. But I read the first 2 installments in October, gave them both by 4 stars. The next 4-star read that I had for October was Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. I absolutely loved this one. I absolutely loved the plot line of it. It did have a twist that I wasn't expecting, which did bump down the rating just a tiny bit for me. But I did really think it was a fun and unique plot line. We're following our main character, and her grandmother passes away, and her grandmother was a famous author. And so she goes to her grandmother's house and finds out that her mother is trying to sell the rights to like finish a book that her grandmother had started but never finished to her publisher, and hire someone else to like finish the manuscript. And she's like, no, I want to be involved in this. And she finds out that the person that they've hired to finish the manuscript is this grumpy guy that she met at a bookstore, and he is an author, and so they have to like work together to complete her grandmother's manuscript. And I really enjoyed their relationship. They had good banter. Again, the plot took a little bit of a turn that I wasn't expecting, and it bumped it down a little bit for me, but I still gave it 4 stars. My next 4-star read, I was actually a little surprised that I gave this one 4 stars. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, and that was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I've heard mixed things about this one, but in this one you're following our main character. Her name is Misery. I remember her. Her name is Misery, and she is a vampire, and she's the daughter of like the vampire king, and she is betrothed to wed the pack alpha, I guess. And in this world, the vampires and the werewolves do not get along. They have like different territories, and then the humans. But she is betrothed to marry the wolf head guy, whatever, alpha, I guess. And so she marries him and then has to go live with him. And it's basically them learning, it's like enemies to lovers. I really enjoyed this one. I had a great time with it. It's definitely, I would say it does have paranormal aspects, but it doesn't like fully take over the story, if that makes sense. So if you like paranormal light, I would say that this might be a good fit for you, but I absolutely adored this one. I thought it was so good. And I gave it 4 stars. And the last book that I gave 4 stars to in October was The Devil. And I was actually a little surprised at the rating for this one as well. Because in this one, you're following our main character, and her mother passes away, but she's left in the care of her stepdad. But her stepdad is very close in age to her. So we've got a taboo kind of situation going on, which I'm not usually big in the taboo space. I usually get icked out really fast with those types of things. They have to be done a specific way. But I actually didn't hate this one. And so I ended up giving this one 4 stars. It is book 1 in a duet, and I've already started the sequel, so I definitely am excited to see where that goes. And it's also got a little bit of a suspense element to it, so bear that in mind if that's something that you enjoy. But that was my last 4-star read of October. And before we talk about my 5-star reads, let's talk about my DNFs. We have a visitor. Hopefully he behaves himself. Okay. We had 1, 2, 3, 5 DNFs. I already said that. I don't know why I forgot and had to recount. I had 5 DNFs in October. The first one was Crescendo, which I DNF'd at 7%. Crescendo is the sequel to Hush Hush, and I enjoyed Hush Hush when I read it. I think I gave it 3 stars, maybe 4. But again, YA. And I started Crescendo, and I just did not care. I just didn't care at all. And so I DNF'd that one at 7%. My next DNF was Dark Lover, which is the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I DNF'd this one at 21%. I was just not connecting with the characters enough. And where it's like a 50 book series, the fact that I like wasn't connecting to the character at all was kind of a problem. Yeah, that excuse me. I'm really embracing the DNF lately. If I'm not loving it, I don't have to read it, and that's that. My next DNF was Morning Wood, which I DNF'd at 38%. This was one of my self-destructing scoop reads, and by this point in the book, I was just getting really sick of the FMC just being like, no, I don't want him, blah, blah, blah. Like, he was giving all the green flags, like, girl, like enough. I just didn't feel like her reasoning for protesting to the love interest was like strong enough for me to believe it. So I was like, and we're done. The next one was Bad Motherfucker. I DNF'd this one at 56%. And the killer for this one is, it wasn't even like that it was super long, but the pacing just seemed super long. Does that make sense? So it was like, the book is only like 300 something pages, but I felt like it was dragging on for so long, and I just could not. I could not, and so I DNF'd it. And the last one was Trick or Beast. This one was like straight up Halloween vibes. I was super excited for it. There was just something off with the vibe. And with short books like that, usually I will just power through it because like it's not that long. But this one I could not. It's like, I can't finish this one. So I DNF'd that one at 75%. And lastly, I had 2 5-star reads for the month of October. The first 5-star read that I had was The Edens, which is the like legacy story from the Eden series. It was the last like novella that I had to read to complete the Eden series. I had already read Christmas in Quincy and then all of the Eden books, and this was like the final one I had to read. This one is about the parents of the kids that the Eden series is based on. I absolutely loved this one, and it takes a lot for me to give a novella 5 stars, but the tension was just so good. The like banter between the 2 characters was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it, and I just ate it right up. I'm trying to remember if they like had dated and then broke up, or if he was just like trying to date her and she like wouldn't give him the time of day. I cannot remember the entire scenario. I do know it was just one bed, and I do know they were like at a cabin situation. But I demolished it. I loved it. 5 stars. And the other 5-star read that I had for October, which was actually surprising for me, was June 1st by Jennifer Hartman. I'm not surprised because I love Jennifer Hartman's writing. For the most part, I've pretty much given every book I've read of hers 5 stars. But I didn't think I would like the scenario for this one. It's giving stepbrother sort of taboo when you read the blurb, but it is not stepbrother at all. This one had me bawling my eyes out. I read this for Self-Destructing Scoop episode 2. I'll link it here. If you want to watch me cry, you can go check out that video and get some more thoughts on it. But I just absolutely loved the chemistry between these 2 characters. I think it was beautifully written. It spans over like 20 years of time, but the pacing was so good that it didn't feel like it was taking forever to get there, if that makes sense. So that one was another 5 stars. So that was all of the books that I read in October. Let me know what your favorite book from October was, and if you had any good spooky favorites. I am getting ready to, because we're almost at the end of the year. Sorry. I'm getting ready to revamp my jar. I want to refresh it a little bit. I've removed some things from my TBR and I want to get some new things in here. So I'm getting ready to revamp my jar. So if you have any book recommendations that you think I would love, romance is definitely my favorite genre. So if it's not romance, it's likely that I probably won't read it. I'm sorry. But romance, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, second chance, sports, I love it all. Drop it down below, and I might be putting some viewer picks in the jar for 2025. So drop those below and let me know your favorite October read, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.